Today's lesson is on multiplying binomials, lesson 8.3 through 8.4. We will be learning how to multiply binomials. Remember, those are polynomials with two terms. How to multiply a binomial with another polynomial, and how to apply this process to real-world problems such as area. There are two methods for multiplying binomials. The first method is called the table method. For the table method, you're going to take your binomial and you will write each one on the side of the table. We have x plus 5, so we put x and positive 5 on the top of my table. Then we have x minus 6, so we put x and negative 6 on the other side of my table. Next, we go through and we multiply each thing, kind of like a Punnett square in biology. X times x would be x squared. 5 times x would be 5x. Negative 6 times x would be negative 6x. And 5 times negative 6 would be negative 30. We then take each of those products and combine them into a polynomial. X squared minus 6x plus 5x minus 30. We look through and see if we can combine any like terms. Sure enough, we have negative 6x and positive 5x. When we add those together, we'll get negative 1x. So our final answer comes out to be x squared minus x minus 30. And this is our final answer. Let's step it up a notch. That was a binomial with another binomial. Here we have a binomial and a trinomial. So again, we will write the terms of each polynomial next to our table. Remember that the plus signs and minus signs kind of work as positives and negatives in this situation. Then we go through and we multiply everything. 2x times x squared will give us a 2x cubed. 2x times negative 3x will give us negative 6x squared. 2 times 2x gives us 4x. 1 times 2x squared, 1 times x squared gets us x squared. 1 times negative 3x is negative 3x, and 1 times 2 is 2. We then go through and add them together. We can skip out one step by noticing that every single time our diagonals are going to give us like terms that we can combine. So when we do this, we'll get 2x to the third, negative 6x squared plus x squared, that's negative 6 plus 1, will give us negative 5x squared. 4x minus 3x will give us 1x, and that's a positive, plus 2. And again, here is our final answer. Many people don't like drawing out the table, and so in that case, we will use the distribution method, more commonly known as FOIL. FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last, and this tells us the order in which you should multiply together the terms of the binomials. If we have a problem like this, 4x minus 2 squared, remember that squared just means we're multiplying it by itself again. So we have 4x minus 2 times 4x minus 2. And let's go ahead and use our FOIL method here. F stands for first, so we will multiply together our first terms. 4x times 4x gives us 16x squared. The O in FOIL stands for outer, so we will then multiply together our outer terms. 4x times negative 2 will be negative 8x x. The I in FOIL stands for inner, so we multiply together our inner terms. Negative 2 times 4x gives us negative 8x. And finally, L stands for last, and we'll multiply together our last terms. And when we do that, we will get negative 2 times negative 2, which is a positive 4. We then go through and combine any like terms that we have. We have negative 8x and negative 8x. So when we combine our like terms, we get 16x squared minus 16x plus 4. Now when we're multiplying a binomial with another polynomial, such as a trinomial in this example, we can't really use FOIL, but the same idea is still there. We need to make sure that when we multiply out to each one of the terms. So let's take our first term in the binomial and multiply to each of the terms in the trinomial. X times x squared will get x to the third power. X times negative 3x gives us negative 3x squared. X times 1 will get us 1x. And then we'll go through and we'll take our second term of the binomial, this negative 5, remember the negative stays attached, and multiply it out to each one of those other terms. Negative 5 times x squared is negative 5x squared. Negative 5 times negative 3x is positive 15x. And negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. We'll then go through and combine our like terms. X cubed is all by itself, x cubed. We have a negative 3x squared and a negative 5x squared. That will give us negative 8x squared. We have a positive 1x and a positive 15x. That will give us positive 16x. And then we have a minus 5 all by itself. And that is our final answer. Now, how will we apply this to the real world? If a rectangular picture frame has a length of x minus 3 and a width of 6x plus 2, what is the area of the picture frame? So in other words, we have a frame, x minus 3 is the length, and 6x plus 2 is the width. Area is length times width, so we need to multiply these two together. 6x plus 2 times x minus 3. I'm going to use the FOIL method to solve this problem. First term, 6x times x is 6x squared. O stands for outer term. 6x times negative 3 is negative 18x. I stands for inner. 2 times x is positive 2x. And L stands for last. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. We then go through and combine our like terms. And we will get 6x. Negative 18x plus 2x gives us negative 16x minus 6. And that is our final answer there. That would be the area of our rectangle. Did I ever tell you guys the story about the time that I called a psychic? She picked up the phone and asked who it was, so I hung up.